What is going on, guys? We are back with the Soul Series podcast, episode number 4. And today we have a special guest with us, Mr. Joseph Mencel. Welcome to the podcast, Joseph.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's I feel particularly privileged today because it's a Sunday.
Yes.
And it's Kayla's birthday today as well.
What a day to be
So
alive.
how good.
I know.
Happy birthday to
Thank
Kayla.
you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
35 today.
Yeah.
35.
Good milestone.
Yeah. You're officially in your mid-30s. You can no longer
Close-
deny it.
Closer to 40 now.
Every day is a day closer to 40.
Yeah. No, I am grateful to be alive, honestly. And even every birthday now that I get to is good because I know what I've faced before. So I don't really care about getting older because that means I'm alive.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're winning.
I'm winning.
That's it.
Yeah.
So we're going to touch on some topics with Joe today, talking about his fitness journey, his business journey. For those who don't know, Joseph runs a company, Massive Joe's, MJ Fitness.
Yeah.
All rebranded, freshly rebranded.
I've got 20 years of brand.
So you're going to just, change. That's a tough one.
I will forever know
It's
you
gonna
as
be
Massive
forever
Joe.
Massive
Yes,
Joe.
a lot of people will. Yes, yes. Yeah.
MJ Fitness, very successful supplement company.
Yeah.
Got your own supplement line as well, clothing brands. I'm sure there's plenty of other things in the background I don't know of. Business mindset coach. That's how obviously myself and Joe
So we connected.
developed our relationship through coaching. And yeah, got a really interesting story. We're going to touch on some of the cool things, I think, along his journey and get some insight. So let's kick it off with now fitness journey. You are IFBB Pro, men's physique. How did it start?
Well, it's I'm gonna run through pretty much from right at the beginning because I think it kind of gives a bit of good context for what we're going to discuss in the rest of the pod as well. So I grew up playing basketball. Basketball was like my fitness, even back then it wasn't fitness, sport. Yeah. Let's call it sport outlet, right? Since I was a little kid, like my earliest childhood memories when it came to like sports were like with the basketball. Like I remember, I'm half Italian, half Polish. So at Nonna's house, we rigged up. No, it was never soccer. It was basketball, man. Right. We rigged up like a old backboard, literally piece of wood with like an old basketball. And I would have been
regulation size.
Man. Hell no.
Not regulation huge. Size. That was a wash basket.
I remember Nonno like pouring the concrete to put the hole in the in the soil so that we could like rig up a basket. But anyway, so grew up playing basketball, ever since like my earliest childhood memories from when I was like, 4, 5 years old was basketball. And so I played at quite a high level. Obviously you start that young and I guess I was kind of naturally gifted in that sense, genetically, if nothing else. And so I played at quite a high level, state teams, national teams, toured the US, and went down that path. And then I developed some injuries. So lower back injuries, stress fractures in my lower back in my late teens. And that effectively kind of put an end to basketball.
To get to that next level, that was going to hold you back.
Nothing could, it was really, look, it got to the point where it was so bad that the professional advice that I was getting from, physios, doctors, that sort of thing was, you really can't do high impact sport. Like you need to get away from this running, jumping type physical activity.
Is that like a genetic thing, or how did that come about?
Oh man,
that sounds funny. That sounds pretty intense.
It's funny you say that because my babcia, which is my Polish grandmother, has had lower back problems like since forever, and so there might be some genetic predisposition there. But there were incidents, like I remember them clearly, where I did the injury. Yeah. So
bit of a combination.
Yeah. Who knows?
It's hard to put a finger on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's hard to figure it out, but. But anyway, so that was kind of the time where I was exposed to lifting weights, right? For strength and conditioning, jumping higher, sprinting faster, all those sorts of things, getting stronger for basketball. And so when I got, that kind of advice was like the high impact stuff needs to stop. You should just spend more time in the gym and just lift more weights. And I was like, at the time, I was like, well, I kind of enjoy it. Like I with a lot of performance-based athletes, it's usually like one way or the other. They either really enjoy the weight training or they just hate the gym.
You have to grind your way through it.
Yeah. So for me, I always enjoyed it. And I guess talk about genetics, genetically as well, I was kind of able to build muscle pretty quick too. So I'd like go to the gym, lift some weights, and then I'd get bigger. And I was like, oh, cool. This is a nice.
It's easy.
This is this is a nice side effect, you know. And so when I was given that advice, I was like, okay, well, I was devastated at the time because basketball was everything I'd known.
And what you thought probably your life was going to look like.
Well, 100%. Yeah.
What age was this?
That was 17. Okay. Yeah, 17.
So that's like
18.
right at that
Very
crucial
early.
age, isn't it?
Yeah.
But realistically, if you're going to take that next step, that's when it's make or break, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
become serious.
That's when it's going to happen. So, but anyway, so I got the advice, and I was like, okay, I'll just spend more time in the gym. And then I wanted, the competitive streak kind of came out, and I was like, I'm spending all this time in the gym, lifting these weights. I kind of look good, but I want to compete. So like, what do I do? And so, with weight-based sports, it's kind of like where you go down the powerlifting, strongman type route, or you go down the aesthetic route, which is bodybuilding. And so I went down the bodybuilding route. And I'd always...
powerlifting, if those injuries... That's probably
wouldn't have been ideal.
If you're going to try to be top of the top,
trying to
deadlift
and squat, it wouldn't have been great. So I guess I made the right decision in that regard. But yeah, so I got into bodybuilding, and I, everyone kind of knew back then, like Arnold, Lou Ferrigno, bodybuilding was much. I mean, it still is very niche, but back then it was very like underground niche. Yeah. But, I'd kind of seen enough of it to go, okay, like I kind of, go on stage and you pose and, it kind of works that way. So anyway, so I found a local show, went and watched, did a whole bunch of research, found a coach, and I was like, okay, I'm going to try and do a bodybuilding competition. And so I started training and I guess that's where the supplement side of things really kind of came in, because I'd been exposed to supplements through basketball, but very basic, like just protein powder, very early days creatine. I still remember like the first time that I heard of creatine. It used to cost like $1 a gram, and no one really knew like how much you would take. But it was
wouldn't be taking much of that price.
This is like it was almost like it's just like
get your scale out.
Yeah, exactly. Like
drop
I don't
a gram on the ground.
That's But yeah, so very early supplements. But when I got into to competitive bodybuilding, I started kind of really going, okay, let me learn more about what the different protein powders are, what's the difference between free-form amino acids and peptide-bound proteins, and pre-workouts then had just started, at the time in the US, they changed the way that supplements were regulated, and the supplement industry just exploded because now you could have all these products that didn't have to be approved before they could go to market. You could take whatever you wanted to market, and it was up to the market to, have adverse effects and report them to, in the US, the FDA.
Is that still the same? That's all changed now.
No, it's still the same.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's slight differences, but it's still effectively unregulated. You can kind of put whatever, so long as it's not, prohibited substances.
Yeah, they've already got that
you
list
can kind of put whatever you want into the market, and if someone takes
see what happens.
Almost, yeah.
Man.
It's completely different.
Right. It's crazy. I didn't know it was like that.
But so at the time, supplements really kind of exploded, and I was interested in seeing what I could do from a supplementation perspective to perform better as a bodybuilder. So I started, at the time, what we had in Australia, like I mentioned, was very basic, right? But the US, because of that legislative change, pre-workouts, amino acids, nitric oxide boosters, intra-workout, like it was just exploding. Yeah. And so I used to, buy a lot of stuff and just import it for my personal use. And at the time, I was training at Adelaide University. So I was studying law and engineering, and I was training at the university gym. And so, I'd tell this story of the gym. Used to be, I'm not sure if it still is, but used to be underneath the uni bar. The uni pub was upstairs, right, at Adelaide, the campus in the city here in Adelaide. And so it was just weird at the time, right? So like I'd go to the gym and I'd have like a shaker with like some colored stuff in it, right? And it's my pre-workout. And, the other people that I was training with or, were at the gym would have like a coffee. Okay, cool. and then intra workout, like a short black or something.
Yeah.
And then intra workout, I'd have like a shaker with, some colored stuff in it, which was aminos, BCAAs, carbs at the time, and then everyone would have like a bottle like this, like just water, right? And then post-workout, I'd have my shaker with my protein, and everyone else would go upstairs to the uni bar and have like a beer and a schnitzel, and that would be their post-workout, you know?
Yeah.
So I was doing stuff that people hadn't seen before, and I would, like, my physique was developing, and then I competed and I did really well in shows. And so naturally people kind of were curious, and they started asking me, like, what's
that colourful juice, man?
Yeah. Why don't you come up and have a schnitzel with us? What's happening? And so I told them, and I started educating on very basic supplements. And naturally it was like, well, next time you place an order for that stuff, can you bring some stuff in for me? And so it began. I kind of started bringing in more and selling stuff to people at the uni gym.
But you've always had that, I guess, entrepreneurial mindset anyway.
I have.
So at what point was that like straight away? Did you go like, oh, wow, there's business here? Or was that like as you started to see some people want some stuff?
Very quickly. And you're right. Yeah, you're right, Zach. Like I always have had that like entrepreneurial streak.
See the opportunity. And
everything. Like just little stuff, man. Like I used to, back in high school, I used to get in trouble because I'd buy like a 24 slab of Coca-Cola and bring it to school and undercut the tuck shop, you know, make a few dollars, like that sort of thing. The school didn't like that. But you know, those
corporations don't.
Those sorts of things. I used to, very early on, I started selling stuff on eBay. So like I'd import. One of the first things I sold was Lance Armstrong Livestrong bracelets, the little yellow bracelets. Because in basketball circles at the time, they were like real popular. Like the NBA players would wear like the Lance Armstrong bracelets and so on and so forth. This is before everyone found out what Lance was doing behind closed doors. But and you couldn't get them in Australia.
Okay.
So I used to buy them from, I think Nike was where I bought them from, buy them from the US, import them, sell them on eBay.
Yeah.
Donate the money to charity, keep the profit. Little things like that. I got burnt very.
How old were you then? Like,
I'm going to say I was like 14, 15.
Yeah, because I did a similar thing. I had.
That's pretty cool at that age.
Yeah.
I went through a stage where I was like, this was probably similar age, 13, 14. So I was getting keys for like Windows, Microsoft Office and stuff like that. There was websites. I seen them on eBay and I think they're about $40.
Yeah.
There was websites that were selling for like 10. So I'd buy them off there, sell it on eBay, $40.
Yeah.
Keep the profit. But then, because I was like 13, 14, so I'd have to use like cousins or aunties, like eBay accounts.
Yes.
eBay came out and they put it on the terms and conditions, like you weren't allowed to sell. I didn't know, but you weren't allowed to sell these keys, like digital keys for products.
Yeah.
So then like all my cousins and aunties' accounts, eBay and PayPal accounts all got banned. And I think they're still banned to this day. I was like, sorry, man, what do you want me to do? But I didn't know. They're like, nah.
Yeah, but that's how it happens, right? Like you test the waters a little bit, see what you can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I always had like that entrepreneurial streak, and I guess when very early on when it became apparent to me that there was a market for these products that from what I could tell at the time, no one was really.
Yeah, you would have been one of the first.
Well, and it's funny with the eBay thing, right? Because I looked on eBay because I was selling the bracelets and stuff on eBay still and other stuff by that stage. And no one was selling supplements on eBay.
Yeah, all international.
Shit, okay.
Yeah.
So I very quickly, I went from, importing stuff, taking it to the Adelaide Uni Gym, selling it, to all the members. And then I was like, my very first thing was like, well, if there's this many members at the Uni Gym, surely the gym at Uni SA would have people that want it. And the Flinders Uni Gym would have. So I used to I would literally load up my car with customer orders and drive to the different gyms and sell supplements out the boot of my car to the gym members.
Nice.
And then I was kind of like, I had a look online and I was like, oh, no one's selling supplements on eBay. Maybe I can sell supplements on eBay. And back then, eBay was very strict, like auction only. You didn't have stores and fixed price. It was you put a product on there, you set a reserve price, you bid it up and you'd sell it if it goes over reserve, like a typical auction.
Yeah.
And so I was doing this, because I didn't know what to sell these products for, right?
Yeah.
So it was a cool way to test the market too.
Sure.
So I'd import, a tub of pre-workout for $30, put it on eBay, set the reserve price at like $50, and it would bid up to like $150. Yeah, right. It was wild. I was like,
what a thrill.
Fucking hell, this is okay. There's definitely a market here. And so I was the first person to sell supplements on eBay in Australia.
Yeah, right.
That didn't last, those sort of margins didn't last for very long because obviously open
market,
market, free market, everyone comes in and you know, very quickly there was just too much supply and not enough demand. But once again, I guess kind of my entrepreneurial mind kicked in and I saw that coming. So I set up my own website, which was massivejoes.com. And that name came about because they used to call me Massive Joe at the gym. So I was just like, that's a cool name. We'll roll with that. So I set up my own website and then started funneling my customers from eBay, which you weren't allowed to do at the time, probably still not allowed to do, but funneling my customers from eBay to my website.
Get rid of the fees.
Building up my own customer database and just getting people off the platform as well. And then something interesting happened because at that point I was like, okay, eBay's cool because they're driving a lot of traffic to my eBay store, but now there's a lot of competition on the website and the eBay fees as well. I was like, okay, I'm paying them to do that. And now I've set up my own website and I need to try and figure out ways to get, obviously I can funnel my eBay traffic there, but people to learn about my website as well. And another very vivid memory I have is, so I was at Adelaide Uni studying law and engineering. And the way that degree was structured was engineering was front loaded for the first 4 years and then law was the 4 years after that. And so I remember I was in the engineering suite. It was called the CAT suite. I can't remember what CAT stands for, but it was something technology. Yeah, obviously. But it was the computing and technology. There it is. That's what it was. That was computing awesome. And technology suite. We got there. I don't know if that's true, but we'll roll with it.
It is now.
It is now. And so I remember I was up there with a friend of mine. His name's Shane, and we were doing some computer work. And I just looked over at his screen, and he had this website up, and he was writing on his wall. And I was like, what's that? And he goes, it's this new website. It's called Facebook. And I was like, oh, cool. Well, like, what's it about? And he goes, it's kind of like you have your own, it's kind of like MySpace, but it's different because like you have your own wall and you can write on it. You can add people as friends. And it's like we didn't know it was social networking back then. It was just kind of Facebook. And my immediate thought was, I was like, fuck, this would be a really cool way to get people to my website. So I very quickly set up my own
Massive Joe's
Facebook
page,
and it was called Massive Joe's because you didn't have businesses back then. It was just personal, it was designed for uni students, right? So I set up, Massive Joe's and then started adding all these people as friends and started telling them about my business. And that was kind of my I guess kind of first step into using social media to grow an online business. And that was kind of the grassroots of it. And then, I continued to do that. This was very early on in uni. And as I mentioned, I spent 8 years at university, way too long. One of my biggest regrets. We can talk about that later.
I was going to ask if you finished it. I was curious.
Yeah, I did finish. I did finish. I'm stubborn.
So you're an engineer?
Yeah. Engineer and lawyer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's the stubborn Italian in me. Once I start something, I'm going to finish it no matter what. But so I continued to do that. For the next, I set that up in the first year at uni, so the next 7 years, studying, running this business, training, competing in bodybuilding shows. I finished engineering after the 4 years and picked up some work for Santos, which is an oil and gas company. So I was doing that like 3-4 days a week, and this is where I developed my ability to be quite productive on very little sleep.
Yeah,
because it was
not many hours left.
It was the only thing that I was like, well, fuck, I'm just not going to sleep much anymore. So,
who needs that?
I got to do, or I want to be doing all these
caffeine supplements. We'll
well, and that was the other thing. I was like, yeah, cool, I got all the supplements in the world. But yeah, that was kind of, I guess, the introduction to fitness and the introduction to business from there.
And then transitioning into that, like obviously, that's when business started to take off. It's a different ball game back then. Like, to start a business back then compared to someone today, it's chalk and cheese really, like with the options that we got today when it comes to Google ads and Facebook ads and stuff like that. Would you say, would you say it's easier to start a business today, being it's probably easier to reach people, but then it's probably harder to keep people's attention today? Like what were some of the challenges like you faced early?
I think it's it's changed so much so quickly, right? And still now, like
it's forever changing.
I know one of your questions is going to be about like overcoming business challenges, and there's different challenges along different times in business, and as you progress down your business journey, the challenges change as well. But like so much is changing just in business in general. Like now we're talking about, you got VR stuff set up here. We were just talking about AI and editing these podcast clips with AI.
And that's only like the last, 12 months? Everything that's completely flipped on its head.
12 months, right?
Yeah.
And now like just the amount of stuff that we do with AI now that we didn't do this time last year, from a business perspective, like it's changing so rapidly. Yeah. But all of that being said, the business fundamentals are still the same, right? They have been for forever, right? Since business has been business.
You read the old books, the success books, and
you go back and you
pretty much most of these principles still true today, aren't they?
And you like Think and Grow Rich, one of the most popular.
When did that come out?
Exactly,
19 something like.
Well, it'd be almost 100 years old now.
Yeah.
Maybe not that old, but
but if you implement the same strategies, those same principles,
it's the same shit.
It's still going to work.
It's like you need to find a product or service. You need to decide on your product or service. You need to find a market for that product or service. You need to get people's attention in order to be able to tell them about your product or service. Yeah. And then you need to deliver the product or service and exceed their expectations. That's that
rule of find a problem, sell the solution.
Well, that's entrepreneurship.
Still rings true, isn't it?
Yeah. The business fundamentals are still very much the same. But like I remember when I very first started, that was exactly what I did. It was like, okay, I didn't know at the time that there was a market for it, but like I had these products and I quickly discovered that there was a market for it. And then it was like, okay, how do I find the people who are in the market for these products to be able to tell them that I have them and to come and get them from me? And that's where it kind of went from, okay, well, let me use social media as that vehicle to get people's attention. So the fundamentals are still all the same. But back to your question, do I think business is easier or more difficult now? I think certain elements of it are probably easier. I think, being able to find markets for your product or service is probably the easiest it's ever been. Yeah. But by nature of it being the easiest it's ever been, there's also more competition than there's ever been. That's because now anyone can do it. There's no barriers to entry.
It's easy to put it in front of people's eyes, but now catching attention becomes harder because
that's right.
As a consumer, like it's a consumer world, we constantly see ads of everything, and it takes something more special now, I think, today than say 20 years ago to grab our attention, because we've seen everything, and we constantly see everything. Marketing today, everyone's social media marketing.
Just us talking about it, my phone's going to go off with all this stuff because we're just talking about it. My phone's going to pick up more.
Yeah, your phones are listening.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, but I think that's like, it's got its easier, it's easier factors to it. Whereas as far as like getting in front of eyes today is a lot easier than it was back then.
Do you think as well, you beginning in the gym, say your physique was looking good, people noticed you and wanted to do what you did? So that kind of helped kickstart everything because they were obviously talking to you about what you're doing and asking 100%. You what
but that's that influencer, Well, it still rings true.
So
like
it's
before
for you to look that way.
Yeah, before there was an influencer, like that's what it was. People would see you and be like, "Fuck, what are you doing?" Now it's on social media. Everyone wants to know, "Oh, what are they doing to look like that?"
Yeah.
Whereas before, it's like, "Fuck."
It was you'd have to see someone.
But no one.
What's he doing, man?
No one really cared that you weren't an accredited nutritionist or whatever. They didn't care. They
just saw the proof was there. It was like, oh, shit, he looks pretty good.
Oh, that's right.
What's he doing?
Yeah.
Let me ask some questions.
You weren't going to ask. You weren't going to go ask the fat dude over on the treadmill.
Well, that's right.
What's he doing for his physique?
Yeah.
Well, he's there doing it. He's trying.
Yeah. But it's like, shit, I'm going to avoid the treadmill if that's what it does to me.
Well, but I mean, if you were, an overweight person and you were trying to get to where that person was going, but perhaps you would ask them for advice.
True.
It kind of depends where you're at on your journey.
Plus, that person has obviously the benefit of, if they stick to it, see what they look like in 6 months' time, and it's like, shit.
Yeah.
What did you do to achieve that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's got
100%.
Starting is the most important part.
Yeah, and that's what we said, consistency. And then, so you've obviously, built up your supplement company now.
Yeah.
Australia-wide, do you do international stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that like a big portion of your business, or is it like
on the
mostly?
Supplement side, it's not huge, just because most of the supplements that we sell...
They're available everywhere.
I say most, but a lot of them now are imported anyway, right? So like, why would you, if you're in the
in the
US,
States,
for example, why would you buy US supplements from an Australian retailer? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But on the apparel side, we do international.
That would be
that's
making
cool.
up a fair bit.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It is. Yeah.
And what was that like? Was that one of the moments? Do you remember, some of the first times that you'd see someone in public wearing your apparel?
Yeah.
Is that one of the cooler?
Still, man.
Still one of the better memories?
Still today.
Still freaks you out?
It does, yeah.
I'm wearing it right now, mate. So
These
are the best. If anyone needs an oversized tee, go hit them up.
Champions tees, yeah. No,
I got like 6 of these. I just wear them every day.
Yeah.
Just rotate them.
Happy to
all the colours. All the colours.
Yeah. Good. No, they're good. And then, you built up your supplement business.
Yeah.
That's obviously still pumping. You still got growth in mind for that. That's evolving. Now you've got your own supplement company. Was it Creation? Is that yours? Creation Labs?
Creation.
How long has that been around for?
Creation's been around for quite some time, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you haven't really, that's not something that you've been too vocal about, really, is it? As far as it being your own thing?
No,
why not?
No. It was always, until recently, it was kind of the hesitation of it being tainted as like a home brand or a house brand, which I was always very conscious of, because I don't think the consumer perception of, as soon as you're like, oh, that's their house brand, it's like, well, it's not very good quality, or they're just going to try and push it down my throat. That sort of thing. So I was always I always towed the line carefully there. Yeah. But Creation has always been mine for, it'd be over 5 years now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But kind of just slid it into the product range alongside everything else.
Yeah.
I didn't give it, I didn't want it
you didn't
to
want people to
become a home brand. I don't want it to become a house brand. I didn't want it to be tainted with that.
Let it build its own reputation, and if people take it like
correct, yeah. And
build itself.
the one thing that still I'm very conscious of, which is quite topical in the supplement retail space at the moment, is baiting and switching.
Yep.
Right. So bringing people in on the back of, we carry this product.
Yeah.
But you don't want that product. You actually want our house
come in for
products.
the optimum nutrition, but
exactly
this one we've got a big discount on this at the moment. Try it out.
And the reason why a retailer would do that is because the margins are much better in their products, right? Because they're cutting out all the middlemen.
Yeah.
But I've never wanted to do that. Never, it's just something that I think, I'm not even sure if it's ethically. It probably is. It probably ethically just doesn't sit right with me.
It's probably like a tricky one for you as well. Obviously, because you have good relationships with a lot of these other companies, you don't want to tarnish those relationships either, do you? Like you want to start if you just started pushing out your own products above everyone else's, that's probably going to,
Well, the problem is, and this is what we're seeing. I mean, this is once again, this is something that's been around since the beginning of business, right? Like this is something that's always happened with retailers. They've always kind of started by being like a brand amalgamator, bringing in a whole lot of different brands if that's the business they're in. And then they kind of go, I could kind of make my own version of this and make, twice the margin, 3 times the margin, and then my customers can only get it from me. And, oh, shit, this is actually a better way to run my business, so I'm just going to bait and switch and push all my customers in this direction.
Transition, start dropping other brands.
Yeah, but then what happens is the brand that you're dealing with or brands that you're amalgamating, they get pissed off because they're like, well, my product's just sitting there on the shelf collecting dust, and it's bringing customers into your store or onto your website, and you're just taking them and directing them to your own products. So
let's pull our range off of you.
Well, it's either, let's pull our range off of you, or we're going to start selling direct to consumer and cut you out of the business. Okay. Right. And then so that happens. And then so the retailer pushes more into the bait and switch. Yeah. And then the brand pushes more into the DTC. And like it's happening quite aggressively in the supplement space at the moment now. Yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But it's just as industries mature, this is kind of what happens.
Evolution of it, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's just something that it's not why I got into the industry. Yeah. And it's not the reason why I want to stay in business. Yeah. Like I just won't do it. Yeah.
I think it's again probably comes down to that entrepreneurial mindset of. There's opportunity. You can see opportunity, and
I think there's probably 2 ways to look at it, Zach. Is like a lot of business people would look at me and they go, "Oh, you're just stupid. Like, why would you not do that? Yeah, that makes better business sense. Yeah, and for me, it's kind of like, it probably does. It probably makes better financial sense. But like at the end of the day, man, I've always been driven by doing things that align with who I am
Yep.
and align with what brings me fulfillment.
Yep.
And as soon as things start to kind of,
muddy
the waters, I'm kind of like, I can go do something else.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, and there's been multiple situations like that over my career thus far, where I'm just like, I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
And it's abrasive to who I am and why I got into this in the first place. So you know what, I'm just going to
step away from it.
Go in a different direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. I respect that.
Yeah.
Your business and mindset coaching side of things now, do you think that came about as kind of like it did with the supplements? People start to see how you are and what you're doing and be like, can you help me?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah.
So it's evolved.
There's pattern recognition now. Yeah. No, very much so. I have always been asked for advice when it comes to like supplements, right? And not just from consumers, but from supplement brands, supplement manufacturers. And I think it's because, through Massive Joe's MJ Fitness, we developed quite a good reputation for supplement specific content, right? So whether that was, we built the biggest supplement specific YouTube channel on the planet still to this day, where we go and, I used to do raw reviews.
Do your reviews.
45 minutes, I'd be talking about a supplement, right? I'd break it down, all of the ingredients. But this is back when people had long attention spans. I'd break down ingredients.
45-second review.
Exactly. How can I get 45 minutes?
10-second review.
45 seconds. Yeah.
This is the best. It works.
Yeah. But that's the nature of the changing attention spans. But through that, like, we developed quite a good reputation, and me personally, I guess, as well, for like, if I'm formulating a supplement, I should probably hit up Joe and see what he reckons. Yeah. Because if it ends up on a raw review, I want it to be a good review. So if he can so that had always kind of happened. But then as I started sharing more of my business journey, right, outside of just the supplements, and I started sharing more of my personal journey, I started to have people following me on social media for that sort of thing, content, rather than just the specific supplement content or the fitness content or those sorts of things. And so people started reaching out to me, and they were like, I've got this business, I'm coming up against this challenge. Do you mind helping me out? What do you think I should do? Or, I've built up this business, I'm looking to sell it. I've got a couple offers on the table. I'm not really sure what makes sense. Do you have any?
Can you take a look, see what?
Yeah, and so people started reaching out to me for literally business advice.
And was this more like friends and stuff like that initially, or was it just anyone?
No, just people. Honestly, it was Instagram.
Yeah, right.
Just people on Instagram through
and
Instagram.
not
DM.
even just fitness or supplement based. It was kind of in general, just I
It was honestly, it started with trades. It was like trades. It was like Sparky's, Tyler's.
That's cool.
Yeah. It was the most random shit.
Yeah.
But I guess that there was some sort of resonance with the business stuff I was sharing, where it was like, okay, maybe this guy can kind of help me out.
Yeah.
It's
all relevant, isn't it? Like when it comes to business, a lot of the principles are all the same, aren't they?
Honestly, we said, like, a lot of the principles are the same when it comes to like marketing a business.
Yeah.
Through the business mentoring work that I've done now, and like I work with people in all different industries, like all different businesses. Business is all the same.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
Yeah.
There's nuances with
but that's where you find like people, if you've got a successful entrepreneur or business person, they generally will find success even when they can completely change niche of business, completely change what they're doing, and they can still find success because they just fall back on those principles.
That's right.
They've, especially people who've been through it, and like yourself, you could go start a new business in a completely brand new industry that you know nothing about, and within 6 months you're probably going to be leaps and bounds ahead of the inexperienced person who's known that industry their whole life.
That's right.
It's you've just built that foundation, those principles.
The business experience. But so back to your question, Kayla. So that's kind of how it started, and I was just doing it for free. And then it kind of got to a point where it was like, there's a fair bit going on here, and every time that I spend like an hour with someone or a couple of hours with someone or helping someone out, it's taking away, for me, it's opportunity cost, right?
You've only got so many hours.
The other thing, so I was like, I wonder if I could, actually like make a little bit of a side business out of this.
How long has this, like, when did this start sort of happening? This is something that obviously, because early days, people aren't coming for you when you don't have a name or reputation. They're not coming to ask for advice.
Yes.
This is once you've built yourself a bit of a reputation, had some success.
And I'm really happy you've asked this, because I think this is probably going to shock a lot of people. So a lot of that early kind of reaching out, giving free advice was like 2018, 2019, 2020.
So not long ago.
The first time that I charged somebody for like an actual business mentoring session was 2021.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very recent, really.
Yeah.
Like
well, very recent, but I think as well is like I was doing it for 3 years before I even asked.
Yeah.
For anything in return.
Yeah.
Like I did it for free.
Yeah.
For fucking 3 years.
And you're already not sleeping, so you don't have any more time to get in to help anyone else.
Yeah.
But what does that tell you? I think like that just goes to prove the point that it's obviously something you're passionate about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one's going to do something for 3 years for free if it's not
100%.
something that, even though you weren't making money, but you love this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think like people in that space, those entrepreneurs, you know, we love talking about it. We love anything to do with it. Like
100%.
But like I said, once it gets to that point where it's like opportunity cost, it's like, you need to start, you know, capitalizing on your time.
Yeah, well, it's not even capitalizing on it. It was just like it needed to make sense for me to continue to.
It starts to draw away from other things.
Opportunity cost, right? And like it's difficult to explain how opportunity cost plays out until you're in a position where it's like, okay, I've got all of these things that I can. This list of things that I can be doing. I can't do them all because I have limited time, limited resources, limited energy. So I need to start picking which ones that I want to say no to, because that allows me to say yes to the ones that I really want to do. And that's kind of how that played out for me.
Yeah.
Isn't that how you got Zac with the old roadmap thing? Got to pick something to say no to?
Yeah.
But that's what, and we're talking about, you know, you posted your story earlier today of someone asked, like, do you ever run out of ideas to, you know, for what's next? It's like, no, you're always trying to tell yourself what to say no to. Like,
the ideas. Yeah. And that's, it's funny because like a lot of the business mentoring work that I do, pretty much everyone I work with is like I call it like a thoroughbred entrepreneur. You know, not someone that kind of like has an idea and they're like, oh, I wouldn't mind exploring. Like someone who always has ideas.
I think people who are going to go out and seek that sort of advice and be willing to invest in a business mentor, like you're there because you're serious about it. Like that's what you want to. It's what you want to do. You know. You want more information.
Just back to the point is like. So much of what I do is this opportunity cost. Is like, you know, especially when I start working with people for the first time, it's like I'll onboard a new mentoring client and they're like, okay, this is, and it's always this, right? It's always like, this is my main thing, and then I do this. And it's like, okay, cool. There's too much going on. I know you got to keep the main thing, and most of them are pretty good with that. But then it's like, okay, maybe you just need to pick one other thing. Or in extreme circumstance, depending on, you know, depends on what we're
how
talking
big
about.
The main thing is, how much time that's going to take.
There might be a couple of things, but like you can't, you know, have your main thing and then jump from this to that to this to that because you're not going to do
nothing's
anything.
Nothing's ever going to get watered enough to flower, is it?
100%, man. And it's one of these things that's going around in entrepreneurship circles at the moment where. I think it's a concept that's been around for a while, and I think Hormozy did a video on it, and Andy Frisella's spoken about it many times as well, where they talk about the average millionaire has 7 streams of income, right?
Yeah,
and everyone's kind of heard that before.
That's right,
right? And their kind of pushback is, well, hold on a second. The person got to be a millionaire by having that mainstream of income, and then they've diversified into all these other things. And there's such a nuance with that because for the most part, they're 100% correct, right? Like you can't have 5 things going on at a certain point in time and expect to be successful at all of them. You may have a certain level of success, but you're not going to be as successful as you can be as someone who's just picked one of those things and has gone all in. It's just arrogant to think otherwise. But then at the same time, thoroughbred entrepreneurs are always going to want to be thinking about the next thing, right? What they can be doing here, how they can take this skill and apply it to this situation and so on and so forth. And that skill of, business diversification is a skill too, right? And it's not something that you kind of like turn on and turn off. You go all in on one thing, all of a sudden you're a millionaire, and now all of a sudden along with that you've developed the skill of being able to do multiple things at once. It doesn't happen like that. So it's kind of like a fine line where it's like, okay, your main thing, this is your bread and butter, this is what you spend most of your time, 95% of your time, 99% of your time focused on doing, right? And then we have to sort through all the other stuff.
But then it's also a matter of like having that main thing. If you build that to a place where you've got, once things scale and get bigger, you're going to have people in place who start to, take on some of those responsibilities. As you're building something, it's going to be pretty much all on your shoulders.
100%.
Unless you've, somehow fallen into inheriting a business or something. But if you're building something from the ground up on your own, it's all going to be your responsibility.
It has to be.
And as time goes, that's, as you can start to delegate some of those responsibilities, that's potentially when you could actually start to put a bit more time and attention into that other idea or expanding on something in a little bit of a different area, with what you're doing. Yeah. But with that, with your biggest piece of advice to someone starting out, it would just be, just focus on, pick your thing and just.
Man, when you're starting out, like it's all you have to go all in, right? Like you can't, and this is what I say, like it's arrogant to think otherwise, because if you take two people, right, and it's the same business and same skill set, same experience, and one person is like 80% in because they're spending 20% of their time doing something else, and the other person is 100% in, and that's all they're doing. Who do you think is going to build the business? It's going to be the person that's going 100%
They'll be
in.
lapping you.
100%. So, when you're first starting out, 100%. Like you have to give everything you've got to give. And then, you're right. Like as your business starts to build and I hate the word scale, but you start to grow your business. Right. You start to bring people in and you put structures in place.
Well, that's the other, you have to, like if you inevitably, if you want something to get bigger, you've only got so many hours. You can only make so many phone calls and handle so many problems. We have to start, getting other people to help out. So, but that's,
What about for people that, I think a lot of people get stuck with taking that first step in either starting a business or studying or changing careers. What advice do you give to people who are just stuck, like they're scared of failing or they're scared of trying something new? What would you say to them to try and push them?
I think the first thing that the first piece of advice that I can offer is you need to get really granular on what your fear is. Like, what are you afraid of? For some people, it's going to be fear of failure. For most people, it's going to be fear of other people's opinions, specifically the opinions of people who you value, and that's going to be family, it's going to be close friends, it's going to be those people who, like, if they don't approve, it's going to keep you up at night. For some people it's just self-doubt. It's like I just don't believe that I have the skills or experience, and I don't believe I'm ever going to have the skills or experience.
Limiting beliefs.
Correct. So I think getting really granular on figuring out what it is that's stopping you from making the commitment, making the step, making the leap, whatever that looks like for you. Because once you've got really granular on it, you can start to break it down, right? So if it's fear of failure, okay, well, what's the antidote to fear of failure? Well, it's
success.
No, it's fear of regret, right? So if you weigh up the two things and you go, okay, I'm afraid of if I try this and it doesn't work. Okay, well, let's balance that against what happens if you're on your deathbed and you're out of time and you're like, shit, I really wish that I gave that a shot. Right? Which is worse. Which is the worst fear. Right? It's a balance of fears.
We've spoken about this a lot.
It's fear of regret.
What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work. You go broke, and again.
And you start again.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you're still alive, you're still here, you're still breathing.
If you've built those skills and you do have that, again, belief. I don't know. Do you need to believe? I just think you need to get to the point where you believe in yourself more than you don't believe in yourself. It doesn't have to be like 100% confidence and I got 100% belief in myself. I think like if you get to the point of like 51% where you've just got enough where you think, all right, I think I could probably do this more than you think you can't, that's enough to go, I think if you're at the point where it's like you still got more doubt that like, nah, that's never going to work for you, you need to get yourself to the point where it's like, maybe this can work, and just 51%, like, and then just go.
Yeah, I think a lot about like what confidence actually is, and I think for the most part, confidence is knowing really deep down inside of yourself that you will develop the skills and experience that you need along the way. Because I don't think, especially when you're trying something new, right? Like, and this kind of ties into that third fear, the last fear, where it's self-doubt, right? I just don't know how to do this, so I'm not going to do it at all. Real confidence is going, I don't know how to do this, but I'm pretty sure that as I go down the path and as I have experiences, I will learn more skills and I'll be able to apply those skills, and I'll mess up a lot along the way and I'll fail and I'll fall flat on my face, but I'll pick myself back up. I'll learn lessons, I'll dust myself off, and I'll keep moving forward. Yeah. I think that is like, that's real confidence.
I think with like what we've done here, this industry for us, you know, I've been a tiler since I was 15.
Yeah.
And then same thing. We built this place.
Yeah.
We're like, how do we run this now?
We didn't have one participant. We didn't. This was our first step into like the disability industry. There was never, to me, it was like, no, this will. Everyone around you is like, what are you doing, man? Like, you're putting all your money into this thing that's like, do you even know what you're doing? It's like,
no,
I don't. But I believe in myself that I'll work. Like, I'll work it out, you know. And what I do know is I won't stop working until it does, you know, until it happens. So that's the confidence, you know. Yeah. It wasn't that I know that like, I know how to do it. No, I just know that I'll work it out. Like whatever I don't know, I'll figure out. And
I feel like that covers a lot of aspects of life. I don't know. I relate to that as well with health. Obviously, like my position was not knowing where my health was going to end up with cancer and then declining chemo, because that's the only thing they tell you to do. And I was like, well, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just going to try it. And then I tried all this other stuff and I've been good so far. So I believe that's going to work. I guess if you believe the chemo, I don't know. I still don't think that'll work. But I guess if you believe in what you're doing so much, like you said, then you work it out and it has to work. Yeah. And then you just keep going with it until it works.
That's it.
Well, I think the other side of that as well is just quitting completely off the table. You know, like I think for a lot of people is perhaps they're able to get real granular on what the fear is, and they're able to go, okay, it's fear of failure, or it's fear of other people's opinions, or self-doubt. Okay, I know what the antidote is, and they can get some real chunkiness into the antidote, and they're like, okay, cool. Now I'm at the point where I can take the first step, and then it starts to get difficult, and then they're like, oh, you know what? I could just go back to what I was doing, right? And
seek that comfort, go back to that warm, back to that warm space.
And it's familiar and it's certain and it's comfortable, and okay, I'm just going to go back to that, right? And
it's like that warm bed when you're getting up in the morning to go to the gym.
Yeah,
crawl back under that blanket.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that is such a big variable when it comes to business success and business failure. Is, you know, people who give it a shot, right, but never kind of really do anything with it, is quitting was always an option.
They never committed, like they never 100%.
Well, they just left quitting on the table. Yeah, it was kind of like, well,
sometimes you just got to burn the boats.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, right? Is you know, I think once you've kind of made the commitment, the other side of that commitment is not just about starting. Like Kayla, earlier you said, like, starting is the most important part. I think starting is one of the important parts. I think the more important part is just not quitting. Yeah. Just take it off the table. It's not an option. Yeah. Right? It may not work and it may be a quote unquote failure. Yeah. But I'll just reassess and I'll change direction if I need to, and I'll figure out what it needs to look like. But I'm not going to quit.
And I'm sure you've come across many failures along your journey.
Almost all of them.
Yeah, that's right. Like, but people don't see that, you know. And it's like I said, when you actually break it down, it's like once you've actually failed multiple times, and it's like there's not much to be scared of. Like only if you let it keep you down is when it's actually, you know, you never fail unless you completely quit. You can't fail anyway.
It's impossible.
That might not work, but you just move on.
Zach, you should see, like, if I listed out like failures and wins. It's not even going to be close, right? It's just the wins, I think, because they're you know, so few and far between, and because they're so rare, especially in business, that's kind of what gets all the attention. Yeah. But there's so many more failures. Yeah. There's so many more. Like it's not even close. Yeah. the number of failures to the number of wins. Not even close.
That's right. And then, we've been through that. I've been through my fair share of failures as well.
Yeah.
And that's what, again, people, you're scared of the opinions of others. It's like, what are they going to judge you on?
Yeah.
That you like, I've heard it before from other people. It's, he's done this, he's done that. So it's like, I have. So what have you done?
Yeah.
You know, like it's, and then when you do win, you get that win. They're going to be like, look at what he's done. Like, that's really cool. It's like, but you were talking shit, shit for the last 15 years while it wasn't working. It's like, now you're on board.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think the thing with, other people's opinions in that as well is like, they might have something to say or post about, or, people they talk to about you behind your back for like 2 minutes. Yeah. And then they go back to their life.
Back to their,
And no one gives a shit.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, except for you. You're the one that cares, because you're like, I can't believe that person said that.
Yeah.
Or they weren't there for me when I really needed them. Yeah. They don't care.
And then when you zoom out, just zoom out on reality. What are we, mate? We're ants on this freaking massive planet, and we've got our little period of time in history. Yeah. In the scheme of things, what is it? It's nothing. So the fear, like, you've only got this limited time here, and that's like, I guess the way we look at it now is, what are we going to do with our time? Yeah. Like, how are we going to, again, talk back to one day on your deathbed. Yeah. How are you going to look back and reflect, and what impact have you left? Yeah. That's your legacy. It's like, no one's going to give a shit about the car you drove, or whether it's a nice car or a shitty car. No one's ever going to talk about that. No one's going to care about that. The only difference that people talk about is the legacy you left behind, the impact that you've left. And I think that's, for us, that was the driving factor behind stepping into this business, and we can actually make an impact and make a difference on people's lives. Yeah. The money's come from that, you just focus on, for us, it was like, just make sure we just focus on value. If we can add more value to people's lives than everyone else doing the same thing that we're doing, the money's there. And I think, like, you take those principles into sort of any business, you're going to find, some form of success.
Yeah. I think that the perspective is such a big one, man. Yeah. Like that, I talk about memento mori, which is, it's meditating on your mortality. And memento mori is a Stoic concept that literally translates to remember you must die. Yeah. I think just having that, and it sounds morbid, right? Whenever I bring it up, people kind of get a little bit uncomfortable. I kind of just went, when you said it. Yeah,
you just reminded me.
It's a bit morbid.
I don't know. To me, that fires me up. Like, hearing that.
Well, for me too, it does, right? But I think when you hear it for the first time, it's like, that doesn't feel very nice. Yeah. It doesn't change the fact that it's true.
That's right.
My thing is, I don't want to die now. Yes. Like, I want to die later.
Yeah, yeah. But just having that, keeping that in front, and through your experience, right? Like, I'm not going to say that what you've been through is a blessing in disguise, but one of the things that has come out of it is that you have that top of mind, right? Yeah. Most people don't have that top of mind. You don't even start thinking about that until you know.
You can't teach it.
No, until you're 60, 70, 80, until someone close to you perhaps passes away unexpectedly, and that's just a shock. Yeah. But it only shocks you for like maybe a week. Yeah. And then you're back to you. But you've got that front of mind, right? And like having that perspective and being able to like access that at will.
That's your fuel, That's pretty explosive.
100%.
Yeah. I think that's where some people call cancer a gift. Yeah. But it's definitely, I live with that every day. Like, every day that's in my head.
Of course. Yeah.
That is my drive. Like, when I talk about like the girls and stuff, I was saying earlier, we're thinking about homeschooling. It's like, for me, I feel like it's my purpose to give them as much as I can while I am still here. And if we can create an environment where we can do that for them, I think like that'll be the best thing I can give to them, and then raise them to be such strong and smart and just well-experienced kids that they'll be able to put good purpose out with whatever they want to do. So, that's the mindset and something that I've kind of gained through that experience. And that whole, like, I just want to be present with them in the moment. And, I get that fear of missing out with them. And with everything that we do, big fear of missing out on anything.
Just building that lifestyle for them is, the best life is where you're doing something you're passionate about, in my opinion. So if we can get them to the point where it's like, instead of teaching them what's a good, the definition of a good job, like what is that? It's something you probably wake up and happy to go do.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter really what that is. Not many people, I think the overwhelming majority of the population don't get to experience that, you know. Most people just do a job because it's what they got told, like, you know, they went to school and got into an industry that they thought was going to be the right thing, or, you know, what was society says a good job. That doesn't necessarily, you know, mean it's good for everyone. Like, find something you love, turn that into your business or, you know, your daily thing, and you've won, you know.
Well, I think most people don't actually have that. Most people don't get to that point until it's like, I'm not going to say too late, but it feels like it's too late, right? It's the script, right? It's like you go to school, you get good grades if you're academically inclined, or if you're not, you go and pursue professional sports or trades or whatever that is, like whatever your inclination is, and you kind of just do it because you just do it, and then you're doing it. And like, you don't realize that you're actually... Because
no one questions it, man. That's what society says.
Right, right. And then, you know, usually like you find a partner, you get married, you have kids, you buy some assets, this and that, whatever. And then you have midlife crisis because you're like, shit, I didn't actually stop at any point along the way and kind of go like, is this the path that I want to be on?
Yeah.
Is this actually what I want to be doing? Is this, you know, like, am I passionate about not just what I do for work, but like everything, like my entire life, like, you know, am I enjoying what I'm doing? And for a lot of people, you know, they get to their like
relationship breakdowns, you know, and all sorts of
different ages, mid 30s, 40s, mid 40s, like whatever that kind of looks like. It's like, oh shit, like, and then that's usually coupled with, now they start thinking about how much time they've got, and it's like, oh, okay, now there's some urgency, you know. So yeah, I mean, you know, I think the earlier you can kind of get to that point, the better. Yeah. Doesn't make it any easier. Yeah. To, you know, look at it and kind of go, I got to make some changes, and you know, don't get twisted. Like
choose your hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything's hard, man.
Exactly. Yeah. That it is choose your hard. Yeah. It's either hard now or it's hard later. Yeah. It's up to you.
That's right.
You can't get out of it.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
Yeah. Speaking of hards, when you have down days, because we all do.
Yes.
What do your down days look like? What do you do? How do you get out of it?
I am big on routine, and I'm big on discipline around routine. And often when I have days where I'm, you know, feeling unmotivated, or I'm just dealing with just a lot of shit that I don't want to deal with, or, you know, whatever it kind of looks like, it fluctuates depending on what's happening, or I'm, you know, not physically well, or, you know, whatever that kind of is. For me, I always anchor back into my routines. So, you know, my routines around my health and wellness, my routines around, you know, I practice a lot of mindfulness, so like meditation, journaling, those sorts of things. You know, I always anchor back into the routines, and I always anchor back into discipline. And it's kind of like, I know, like, I really just don't feel like doing this because I'm not motivated, or I'm unwell, or got all this other shit to do with. I get it. But action drives motivation, right? So I need to act. Yeah. And my way of acting, I've got my routine there. Exert discipline, anchor back into it, do what I need to do, especially when I don't feel like doing it. And I know that that's going to start to create the positive momentum for me to get me out of the rut. Yeah. So for me, it always comes back to action, and it's not big things. Yeah. It's little things, right?
Just like, the things that you know you're meant to be doing.
It's just the things, you know, right, that you just let slide because life happens and shit gets in the way. But, you know, it's the, you know, for me, big ones for me, you know, to just, you know, use actual examples of what it looks like for me. Big ones for me are meditation is huge for me. And I know, like, when I've slipped on my meditation, which always happens because there's always other things you can be doing than sitting there for 20 minutes and doing nothing. Well, honestly, that's what it is, right? Like, it's, oh shit, I could spend that 20 minutes doing this.
Sometimes while you're trying to meditate is all you're thinking of.
That's all you're thinking about, right? Yeah. So that's a big one for me. Obviously my health and fitness is a big one for me. You know, and I know if I can kind of anchor back into usually like those two things, and
the rest of the pieces start to fall back in place.
Exactly. That's kind of how it feels as well. It literally is like everything starts to fall back into place. Yeah. But it always comes back to like, I need to be disciplined with this now. I don't feel like doing it. I don't want to do it, but I know that I just have to start moving the momentum in my favor, in my direction, and it starts with action.
And that's like you said, that's a skill, you know.
It is, yeah.
When you first, like for me, because I'm just still in that phase, like still building routines, and it's like it takes a lot of conscious effort of thinking about that. It's like, you know, probably for someone like yourself, once you've done that for years and years and years, you probably don't even think too much of it anymore. Now it's just like, this is what you got to do.
Yeah,
just
you know what you got to do.
It is what it is. You don't even probably put too much thought into why and how it's going to help you. It's just like, just get it done.
It's still difficult. Like it's doing it is difficult, but knowing what I need to do is not difficult anymore. I know what that looks like. I know what those things are for me.
Yeah, it's taken Zac a while, but he's joined the get up and get ready in the morning, go out, start early. Yeah. Even and as well, we're trying to get 10,000 steps a day. So some days it's like dinner time even, and we're like, how many steps you got? How many steps you got? Oh, let's go for a walk.
Off you go.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to go.
Yeah, but that's at that point now where it's like, there's no question anymore. Yeah. It's just look at it. All right, it needs to be done. Yeah. Have we got enough? If not, we go. You know. Yeah. So that's, again, it's a skill. It takes time. It's like you're going to constantly fall down. You're going to constantly fail. And I think people might even try get into a routine. It's like, oh, I can't do that because you tried it and it doesn't work. You just got to keep trying it. It's like, it's not going to you're not going to flick a switch and go from having no routine and structure to being a regimented human overnight. Yeah. It's going to take failures. But the main thing is, it's like, don't let one bad day turn into a bad week, into a bad month. Just pick it back up, you know, one bad day, don't let it, even one bad meal. Like, you have your one, if you have a shitty breakfast, doesn't mean you have to go throw away your lunch and your dinner. Like, if that's what your goals are, have your breakfast and then get straight back on track. The sooner you get back on track, like I feel it now that I can, even if I have like say, something off track, it's like I can sort of snap back into it, and then it doesn't really, how much progress are you going to lose from like a small gap of, you know, inconsistency compared to letting it throw you off for the next month, and then you're back, you know, a month behind, and then you start again. It's like you're playing those mind games with yourself. It's like, shit, if I just stuck to it a month ago, it's like, well, how about you stick to it from today then? Like,
I call it your refractory period. Yeah. And I think the shorter you can get that period, the better. Yeah. And like, I'm not talking, you know, it's the old saying, like, I'll start on Monday. Yeah. Why are you waiting till Monday?
That's it.
It's Wednesday. Why are you going to wait 5 days? I don't understand. Just start now.
That's like the gym is always the busiest on a Monday.
I know.
Come Friday. Where is everyone?
No one's there. You see it. Yeah, that's right. But my thing is like, you know, when it comes to, you know, like very in the moment productivity as well. Right. And this is something that I work with a lot with my mentoring clients is, okay, you're focused. You guys will know exactly what this feels like, right? You're like in the zone, you're wired in, you're focused, you're being super productive, you're getting something done, and then something distracts you, or someone pulls your attention away, or an email pops up, or a social media notification, or whatever it is, right? You get distracted, you get pulled away. It's very easy at that point to kind of run off with the fairies, right? And just, now I'm distracted, okay, and then this happens, and then that happens, and before you know it, like 2 or 3 hours has gone past, and you haven't come back to that thing that you were in the state of flow, super high productivity, you know, getting it done, right? How quickly can you go from being distracted to being back on focus, right? How short can you make that period? And the extreme of that is, okay, maybe you didn't go to the gym on Tuesday, and then you cheated on your diet, and then you went to bed real late because you were up watching Netflix, and now it's like, okay, I'll just start again on Monday, right? That's the extreme. But the very micro sense of that is, I'm working on a task, I get an email that comes through, oh, okay, I need to go and deal with this. How quickly can you get back to that task? Yeah. Right. So how short can you make that refractory period in just day to day? I think the shorter you can make that, the better it's going to be for.
And put some conscious effort into it as well. Yeah. Especially if you're trying to, you know, develop new habits and improve on things. Yeah. It's something you need to think about. Like, if you're going to, next time that pops up, like, I'm going to think about that next time. If I'm doing an email and I get a distraction, I'll consciously think about, right, can we quickly get back to it? You know? Yeah. That's what it is. Like, you have to put thought, especially when things are new. They do take a lot of conscious effort, a conscious thought to build them into to habits.
To make it a routine. Yeah. And sticking to it is very easy to get off track.
It is. There's plenty of distractions in the world for us.
Yeah. A phone's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Biggest distraction.
Yeah. That's there from the morning. As soon as you open your eyes.
Well, no one said happy birthday to me this morning. Would you believe it? Everyone forgot.
I didn't forget.
Yeah, see? You remember?
Joe bought me a present.
She gets up. It's been like 15 minutes.
I get up. He's on his phone. I was like, all right. I get on my phone. I go out. The girls are on their iPads. I'm like, hi. They're like, morning, mum. And I was like, not one of yous have said happy birthday to me. Oh, we
I
forgot.
took you shopping Friday, and it's not like I forgot it was your birthday. It was just...
Yeah, this is funny.
I think that's what it was, because like her presents, we got her present. We went Friday night shopping. Yeah. She got her presents there. So normally, if I've got like a present to give you, I'll be like, oh, I'll give her a gift in the morning. Yeah. But because she's already like had it, it's like, there is no birthday. That was Friday.
Distractions.
Yeah, that's right. Distractions.
It's crazy. Like, what did we do before buns?
I don't know.
Actually, Adriana said to me this morning, I was straightening her hair, and she goes, Mum, what did you do when you were young and you were bored? I was like, well, I would go read a book, or I would make a game up, or I would go outside, fight with my brother. Like, we had Nintendo and stuff, but we didn't have she goes, so you didn't have an iPad? I said, no. And she actually said to me, did you, because my hair's curly, and she goes, did Nonna used to straighten your hair when you were little? I said, no, we didn't have straighteners. These weren't invented then. Yeah. She goes, so you just had curly hair all the time? I'm like, And she's like, but why wasn't it around? I said, because it wasn't invented. No one thought of it. Now that it's been thought of. And then she came on the iPad subject and stuff. And I was like, we used to read or play games. And they're like, wow. I think, that's how it was.
It's a different world, right?
Yeah. And now they just have everything in their hands.
It's funny because it goes back to one of the first things we spoke about today, where you asked, like, do you think it's like easier or more difficult in business now? And I said it's easier because it's easier to like reach people, but it's more difficult because there's more competition. Yeah. I actually think, and I thought about this the other day as well, I was like, I reckon one of the most important skills, just specifically in business, is being able to reduce the amount of distraction. Yeah. Like, I really think it is. Because like these things, right, and everything that kind of comes along with it, are designed to suck time out of your day.
Keep you on it.
Like, they are designed for you to doom scroll and show you what you want to see. And just keep you on the platforms being just completely, consumed with being distracted. Like, that's what it is. Yeah. I actually think one of the most valuable skills in business these days is being able to just put that to the side and all your other screens and all your other notifications and all that sort of stuff off, right? And just focus on what it is that you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. I think that's huge.
Is that something that you would like set aside a certain amount of time per day, or is that something like, obviously we need our phones, you know what I mean? We can't just cut them out all day, especially for someone like you run an online business. Yes. You need to be responding to emails and checking your notifications and stuff like that. Yeah. Is that where like, you'd say, and again, being an early riser, like that's where we hear a lot about people who get up at 4 a.m. It's like, you've got that 2-3 hours where your phone's not going off. People aren't sort of emailing you and buzzing you. Like, if you don't want to get up at 4 a.m. or for yourself, you get up and you do other things. Like, you're not sitting there probably doing emails at 4 a.m. You're getting your morning routine of gym and everything done. You'd have to like, or for everyone else, you'd have to just try set a 2-hour window, you know, if that's 2 hours out of your day, where put your phone on do not disturb and build that habit of like, that's it. I reckon people would like 100%. Be surprised on how much they can actually get done in 2 hours of sole focus compared to like out of your 8-hour day.
That's why they let you set screen time limits in certain apps or in general.
But how many people actually do that?
I don't spend too much. I don't know.
Well, you don't know until you start tracking it.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's.
I don't look at it.
Yeah, it's one of those
things.
Don't need
that negativity in our life.
It's out of sight, out of mind kind of thing.
Do you set screen limits?
So I don't know. This has been on the table the whole time. I don't know if you guys have noticed, not one notification. Yeah. So I turned my notifications off in 2018. I've never had them on. I don't have any of them. The only notification I have on is phone calls. So if someone calls me, that'll come through. Yeah. That's it.
So then when you want to check your emails, you check your emails.
Even SMS. Yeah. Like nothing comes through. So
life hack.
Big one.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah. Because then and
if there's an emergency and someone really needs you, they know
they'll ring
call you.
They can call. Yeah. But and I do exactly what you said, Zach. Is like I have dedicated time where it's like, okay, this is when I will do my social media posting. Yeah. And it's locked in, right? The hardest thing is, okay, right, I know I'm doing my social media posts from 7 till 7:30 at night, right? When you're in there, it's hard to get out, right? That's the thing for me at the moment is I'm like, fuck, it's 7:30. Let me just check this, let me check that. And before I know it, it's 7:45. And then it's 8 o'clock. And I'm like, shit. Right? How did that happen? Off. 7:30. Down you go. Get down. But like look, man, they got the best engineers in the world working on this shit. Right? They know exactly what to do to get
the algorithms,
get the dopamine firing and get you locked in and make you feel good and all that sort of shit. I reckon, like, I have this little side theory that you guys remember all the cases, the class actions against the cigarette companies. There's like movies made about them. I don't. It would have been like the 90s, I think, was when they kind of all, because the whole thing with cigarettes, it was before our time. We weren't even born yet. Well, maybe we were young, but the whole thing was like, nicotine's not addictive. Nicotine's not addictive. Nicotine's not addictive. Right? Smoking doesn't cause lung cancer. Smoking doesn't cause lung cancer. Right? And then it got to a point where there was just so much evidence.
You can't deny it anymore.
That it was like, all right, cool.
You got us.
Shit.
You got us. Okay, what does this kind of look like?
The new research shows.
I reckon that, I'm not sure if it's going to be the devices or the platforms. It'll probably be a little bit of both. It's going to unravel in the same way when it comes to mental health in particular. Definitely in our lifetime. It's going to get to a point where the evidence is irrefutable. And you guys knew the whole time what you were doing.
Well, consciously, that's what they're aiming to do, is get people hooked, get people addicted.
And you still did it. And I think that's going to be the next.
It's interesting. I've never thought of that.
I've never, but it makes a lot of sense. And you can definitely see it. Because that's like all the TikToks and the videos and the makeup and the dances and everything.
Short form content is like
people
dopamine hit.
Don't have all those Gucci handbags that all those people are posting, and why don't I have that?
That was like for us, during COVID. That's when TikTok sort of like started to really blow up, I guess, for us. And it was like it was like, oh no, that's a kid's app. You know what I mean? And you download, it's like,
I'm an adult. I don't have TikTok.
It's like, no, fuck. You get TikTok, it's like, this app's not bad. Got you, man.
It's a time waster, big time. I don't even go on anymore. I'm an adult now. I look at Instagram Reels.
I wait till they come to Instagram before I see one TikTok.
It's the same one. It's just on a different platform.
You sometimes still go on TikTok. I don't really go on it anymore.
All right. Last thing we'll touch on is just future projects. So I know you've always got stuff in the works. Is there anything big coming up at the moment, or what's happening with you?
Yeah, there's a few things. I think one of my big focuses, we talk about focuses, and because I have a lot of different things going on, so I the way I do it now is like I pick one thing and focus on it, and get it done, right, and then on to the next thing. So a big focus for me at the moment is I have another supplement brand that I'm working on, that I have been working on for 3 years now. Which has been a bit of a passion project for me. It's kind of been, one of the things in the supplement space that I've never seen done well. This is the entrepreneur mind coming out, is the combination of really good branding and really good products. I've seen like the one done really well, like awesome branding, shit products. Awesome products, shit branding. I've never seen the combination come together really well. So I'm working on, it's called Project Eclipse. So that's my little, in the supplement space.
Where's that at? How's
it's pretty close, man. Yeah.
I've seen the teasers, mate.
The teasers have been flowing for about a year now. So, we're definitely going to launch this year. Awesome. Sooner rather than later. There's just one of these things when you embark on a project like this, you need to set very clear boundaries around what you're going to hold yourself accountable to, and I think the branding piece has been relatively smooth sailing. It's taken a lot of effort and a lot of time and a lot of just a lot of grit to get that to the standard where I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it properly, right? The formulation side of things has been I think I can now see why a lot of brands don't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's really difficult.
When you
Like,
say
it's
like
really
to
hard.
get the good combination of flavors and like when you say formulation, is that about, you know,
flavors, ingredients,
what's in your pre-workout, like to
doses,
make it,
ingredients that work well together,
Yeah.
ingredients that don't have product efficacy side effects like causing clumping or causing the product to
how they mix.
Mixability, like all of these things. Like there's so many elements that go into it. I'm just like, okay, now I can see why.
On paper, you could formulate the most amazing
best.
pre-workout because it's got it ticks all the boxes. It's like, hold on, well that doesn't fucking.
Yeah.
That's right.
Can't make that.
Yeah. So that's been particularly difficult. And then, you know, we're manufacturing in Australia as well, at least to begin with. And so we've got the whole regulatory structure to deal with here as well, which is like walking through landmines. You just take one wrong step and you're like, explode. So that's been quite challenging, but skill developing as well. Like I've learned a lot through both the branding and the formulation piece over the last 3 years or so that I otherwise wouldn't have learned if I didn't
go down
pursue Project Eclipse. So so that's been really cool.
And the name, where's the name come from?
It's not called Project Eclipse.
No. So the real name's not out.
The real name hasn't been released yet.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, and then that's been the other piece is like the intellectual property element of actually having a brand too.
Do you actually have the name, or
yes?
What's it start with?
Well, the name starts with the letter K, which you'll be a fan of.
Great,
so we're off to a good start. But even that, like the name is now registered, IP protected. The logo has, I think, a month of like public where they go and put it out into the public and see if there's any objections. That's happening at the moment. That's almost done. So yeah, the brand's it's done. Yeah, it's all done. It's just now just bringing it all together.
Is it a big product line or is it starting small and then to expand?
Starting small. Yeah, and then move from there. But I say starting small in terms of what we'll launch with, but we have actually like thought through pretty much
in the ready to go.
Whatever we can kind of foresee as the product line, we've kind of thought that all through in terms of tub sizes, lid sizes, colors, all the way all that kind of works. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Exciting times.
Yeah. So that's kind of the main focus in the supplement side of things. With my personal brand and what I do with the business mentoring and the mindset and those sorts of things, I'm just having so much fun with it at the moment.
Yeah.
So
there's nothing real.
But it's one of those things, man. Like this is actually real opportunity cost. It's one of those things where like I wish that I could. I don't wish. I could be doing a lot more of this. But I'm really having to like push the brakes on it, because I really want to say yes to like the Project Eclipse stuff. So for me, like that's kind of where I sit with that, where it's like, okay, what am I focused on right now? So that's kind of, I just enjoy it, man. Like
that's it. And that's one of those things that, like I said, you're passionate about it. So you just stuff you love to talk about. Right? And seeing people develop, obviously putting in input, like from what, the changes I know personally that you've helped me make. Like I can see how that would be rewarding on your end to be like, and when you see people, it's like, oh shit, they're actually taking this advice and doing it and it's getting results. It's like, that probably even helps, yourself, like with your confidence.
It'd be such a good feeling to,
it's the best thing ever. Like even coming through here and just seeing what you guys are doing here and like, being able to see it in the flesh. It's awesome. Like, that's the best. That's that feel good that we're chasing. Putting good out, seeing it unravel, and then that brings that feel good feeling back to you. So we chase that. Definitely. It's the best.
No, awesome. Cool. I think we've basically we've touched on everything. We've gone a bit over time, which is good. That's when you're having a good chat.
I do want to ask as well. You say your 8 years of uni, you feel like you regret it. Do you feel like you've used any of it in what you've done?
Yes.
So not really.
Yes.
Complete waste?
It's one of those things where one of the sayings that I hate is no regrets, right? Because I think anyone that's lived long enough just knows that's complete bullshit, right? Like you're going to regret stuff. That's just the price of wisdom, right? It comes along with it. The reason why I say that's one of my biggest regrets is because I think I spent too long there, right? And I think I had a lot of the base skills that I use in business and in life today. I had them probably after 4 years. Yeah. But then I still stayed on for another 4 because I'm a stubborn Italian and I like to finish what I start, right? But I kind of go, okay, you know, at that point in my life, so that was 2008, right? So I was 23, 24 years old then. I started this supplement business. The business was it must have been doing like around $1 million in turnover, just as like a little side hustle. I got my engineering degree. I was working I had a really good job for Santos in oil and gas optimization. I was being paid really well, right? Like I just had all of this stuff happening, but I went to go finish the law degree just because I wanted to finish what I started. Yeah. But I kind of go, if I had, you know, those 4 years at that stage in my life with everything that I had going on, I could have deployed that time a lot better. Yeah. So that's why I say it's one of my regrets.
Yeah. That's I guess the trade-off of that's your personality, you know, and we talk about seeing things through and being committed.
Well, it's taking quitting off the table.
That's right.
That's what it is.
So as much as you say
it's not going to happen.
That's just quitting isn't in you.
That's
so
right. Yeah.
You can't, like, it was never going to turn out any other way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Once you decided that you committed to going down that path, you've seen it through. And I think most people, like, again, your time may have been better utilized if you did something else. Yeah. But if you had to quit at that point halfway through, would that have subconsciously put you in a position where maybe when something else that you feel like's not quite going the way it should, or that's building that, you know, mindset of like, fuck, if I think I can do something better, I might just quit. Yeah. You don't do that. Like, and that's you know, I think,
it's easy to look back now and say, if I did it different, things would have been different, but it was all meant to happen how it was meant to happen.
But at what cost? Yeah. Like I said, once you open that door as, there's something better I could be doing. Where do you draw the line? Once you allow yourself to do that, you might not see other things through in life.
And that's 100% correct. Yeah. Right. And it's always easier in hindsight to kind of look back and go, the dots may have joined a different way.
The regret to me would have been choosing that path. Like if I was you, my regret would be like that I chose, not that I stuck to it for 8 years because you did what you set out to do, but choosing that path, like maybe could have chose something else. But then again, that path helped you learn other skills. It's like, it is what